to a slightly different matter.
Yes, how to cheer yourself up. It seems fair enough that maybe a new haircut might cheer you up. What about as a cure for depression, though?
Well, that's one of the controversial suggestions from a new book by a leading scientist, Professor Jane Plant, and she's here to tell us more, along with Jane Harris, who's from a mental health charity called Rethink. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Well, Jane, you've had some experience of dealing with depression yourself, haven't you? Because you've been fighting cancer.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, basically I was treated with drugs called benzodiazepines when I had cancer, and nobody told me the awful effects these have afterwards, and I ended up with 8 years of really serious anxiety, particularly anxiety, which often led to depression. And what I discovered was the medical profession really didn't know how to deal with this. They didn't know the chemistry. They'd give me, you know, SSRIs, and I kept saying, but this isn't...
SSRIs?
These are the sort of drugs like Prozac and Seroxat that deal with serotonin, and I was just saying, sorry, that isn't even the right neurotransmitter system. And I ended up having to sort it out myself, because I'm a chemist, and I ended up researching it myself and treating myself.
Okay. Jane, the other Jane. Hello. Hello. Is it, I mean, antidepressants, a lot of people taking antidepressants at the moment, and they obviously work for a lot of people, clearly not in your case. Are there alternative ways of beating depression where you don't have to use drugs?
There absolutely are lots of alternative ways, I mean, including things like psychological therapies that we know work for the vast majority of people.
The talking therapies.
But at the moment the NHS just doesn't spend enough money on those kind of therapies. But at the same time, I think we have to sort of look wider than that also and think about researching other possible cures for mental illness in the future. At the moment, mental health gets only 6% of the research spending on health in this country, which it just isn't enough when you look at the number of people who are experiencing these conditions.
So, Jane, you found that lifestyle changes can be equally, if not more, beneficial. For instance, what?
Well, things like exercise, and particularly walking in green space and exercising in green space. I mean, there's masses of scientific evidence that that helps and is often as effective as drug treatments. Nutrition, I believe, is important. I mean, the brain is 60% fat, and many of us just eat all the wrong sorts of fats. We eat trans fats and we eat lots of saturated fats, when the brain actually needs unsaturated fats.
So if you have more essential fats, more of those omegas, then there's... And we've both read this book, haven't we, which is called Healing Without Freud or Prozac, which came back a long time ago, which says things like light therapy can help, essential fats can help, yoga can help. But Jane, are there some people who still need the drugs? And no matter how many of these alternative things you do, if you've got clinical depression, you may need a chemical answer.
Absolutely, and it's all got to be about the sort of the choice of the person who's experiencing that condition. The problem at the moment is that there just aren't these range of therapies available. But I think really one issue is that quite a lot of people with mental illness can't do some of the things that they would like to do that Jane might be suggesting. If you're on a very low income, how are you meant to go and get all these great foods? You know, we find also that a lot of people, you know, might be told to sort of try and smile and try and be happier and try and take exercise. They then go to the doctor and say, I want to go to the gym, and find out they've got to pay for a note from their GP in order to be allowed into their local gym.
Smiling doesn't cost you anything, does it?
Well, it's hard to smile sometimes when you're being treated like a second-class citizen, and that's actually what a lot of people with mental illness are treated like. We did a survey just a week ago of 3,000 people with mental illness, and 9 out of 10 of them said that they'd been discriminated against. 30% of people are saying that friendships are broken up simply because they've got a mental illness. And if that's really what your everyday experience is like, some people feel they can't even leave the house, they can't go to the pub, because they are facing so much discrimination. It's quite hard to smile when you're in those kind of circumstances.
Well, one of the messages in my book, mental illness, to be treated as carefully and as well as people with cancer. I've experienced both. There's no comparison in the treatment, in the quality of care you get as a cancer patient and as somebody with a mental illness. You get proper diagnosis, proper treatment if you're a cancer patient. You don't if you're mentally ill.
Jane, you were saying only 6% research goes there.
Absolutely.
Thank you both very much. Very quick, seaweed, really?
Yes, it's got a lot of trace elements.
Fry it, boil it, eat it raw, what?
I just eat kelp tablets every day. It's got lots of essential trace elements for the brain.
Okay.
Thank you
very
both.
much.
Thank you.